The government's made lots of warm noises over the last 4 years since the Grenfell tragedy, but unfortunately they've never once enshrined in law the principle that leaseholders should not have to pay for a crisis they didn't cause. And sadly, we've seen authorities across the world take urgent action. For example, in Australia, authorities there provided upfront funding to remediate buildings urgently, and then the Australian authorities are going after those responsible and carrying out the relevant legal procedures to do that. Leaseholders should not be forced to do that themselves. It's bad enough that they're living in buildings where they're frightened every night about whether they're going to wake up in the morning or not. They certainly shouldn't be asked to pay for the costs of that. And what's even worse is that some of the amounts that leaseholders are being asked to pay are eye-watering. They are financially devastating amounts that essentially amount to the loss of someone's home, because who has a spare £100,000 sitting in their bank account?
Politics is always the language of priorities. If governments can find that money for Afghanistan, then they can find the resources, the political commitment, the legislation and the cash to deal with this situation. This is not the first time in history that buildings have become unsafe. Many mining communities, their houses were rendered not safe, charges were put against the land, and those people were then able to walk away. The matters was resolved. I see no reason why a similar legislative framework shouldn't be created in this situation. When you've got right on your side, as you have, eventually the fairness and equity of this situation will mean that we win. Thank you very much.
The Conservative Party between 2010 and 2020 have received over £60 million in donations from property developers and people with property interests. We've been calling on the government to waive VAT. They don't want to know. The Treasury in national government is making money from a crisis. It is a scandal. It is a stain on the face of this government. And we're here today to stand in solidarity with each other to make sure government goes above and beyond. In the fire safety bill, we were told, well, the building safety bill will deal with all the issues around who's going to pay. And what do we know? That did not happen. That did not happen. The fight isn't over. Solidarity.